Welcome to Heal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Hey guys, before we jump back into the podcast, I want to say thank you for listening. But I noticed that you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet. Go to Deal to Heal Podcasting Network on YouTube or just scan the QR code in the corner where you'll be able to find multiple podcasts that we have with over 300 episodes that's uploaded right now for your enjoyment. So do that really quickly. Now, get back to the podcast. All right. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Earnest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. Therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our podcast on our new YouTube channel and all of your podcast listening platforms. But definitely check us out on our YouTube channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Again, that's the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network on YouTube, where you will find the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, which is our sister podcast where we talk to other girl dads like myself and sometimes even daughters in order to talk about that daddy-daughter relationship to combat the narrative of the absent father and the fatherless daughter. So you will find that podcast there, as well as the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, which you are listening to or watching right now. So again, make sure you guys go to our YouTube channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, in order to see our podcast and all the other podcasts that we have that is there as well. But today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest, Mr. Mark. How are you doing today?
I am most fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. How are you?
I am good. First of all, let me say thank you for being on, because you could have been doing anything else with anyone else, but you're here with me and my listeners, and we definitely appreciate it. And so we go jump right into this thing, Mark. Do me a favor, introduce yourself to my audience. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Well, thank you, sir. Yes, I appreciate you for that lovely introduction. This is a little bit about me. To who don't know, I am Mark Relic, and I serve as a life coach, as a teacher, and as a writer. I'm also an entrepreneur. What my mission is to make changes in people's lives. What that means is that, I get a call when people have goals in their life and they need some kind of a push, some kind of a help to achieve those goals. So what I do is basically I come up with a strategy, because after all, I'm a strategist, as in their personal life, professional life, their spiritual life, to get energized, to have a purpose, because that's exactly what I help them with. My clients find me when they need that purpose, then they need the itch, when they need to be they need a boost, and ultimately purpose. So combining all these, there's no better and greater pleasure for me than to actually see their breakthrough, because I've been dealing with these breakthroughs over 10 plus years now. And I am blessed with this skill and skills I've developed over years. And so basically what this means is that, once we set on this path of goal achieving, it kind of gets addicted, because once this process and strategy produces results, you kind of don't want to stop,
Right.
It gets addictive, So it's a beautiful life filled with achieving goals. I've been a goal achiever for my entire life, but now more than ever, it's not only about me. It's about so many other people. And actually, when I deal with this, when I participate in creating and producing results, nothing fulfills me more than to actually see those breakthroughs and to see the patterns break like breaking ice,
Yeah.
and all these different states and realities we create on our way. Because let me tell you, half of the things we could discover on our way. That's a beautiful process of being spontaneous and yet realizing goals on everyday basis, because we deal with short term goals, long term goals, and so that way allows us to discover our own talent, our own identity, and most of all, things about ourselves that we lose and neglect oftentimes, because we just have this feeling that we live too fast in this modern time, which is fine. But oftentimes we need a break, just a break, and to simply make a stop, or even slow it down, and to realize what's around us. Because if we don't
Yeah.
do that, if we just keep on and on and on and on, we have a tendency to forget why we do that. I
Yeah.
often tell people, if you rush too much, not only you're gonna miss the whole thing, but you are going to forget the reason why you do it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
simply the
I want to.
fact.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
I want to go back. I want to go back a little bit, Mark, before we get too far ahead, because because you said a whole lot of great stuff, and I want to kind of dissect that a little bit. But
For
before
sure.
we get to that point, I want to go back to the earlier Mark, because I
Okay.
know when we get into the spaces in which we work, and especially when it comes to helping others, there's us who we are, and then there's usually
Right.
some kind of incident or something that happens in our life that makes that changes us, and then we decide to go ahead and use that incident to help to change others. So
Yes.
who was the earlier Mark, and what was that situation that made you say, you know what, I want to spend my life helping other people?
Right. 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 Right on. Right on the money. You got that point. And thank you for that question. It's a lovely question. Actually, that's funny point. Because when I look back, which is something I don't do often, honestly, I I almost can't recognize that guy, to be honest,
Mm,
because say 20 years ago, I was completely different person since
right.
I lived my purpose now. Because now it's this state in this life is about so many other things except me.
Mm,
But back then, as you called it, I obviously wasn't educated this way, and for me, education is a big deal.
mm,
Uh, Especially if you know how to use it. So back then, I definitely knew less, and I wasn't really heading anywhere. I was actually having a different career in a hospitality industry, which
mm,
was fine. I was passionate about that, and I was living the life, and I was traveling, and and basically doing what I did, doing what I wanted. But then after a while, I simply didn't feel it anymore, and I wasn't in my heart in that, and when I'm not in the heart in something, I can't do it. I just can't do it.
mm.
So, but I procrastinated that thing, because I mean, it was a job. It was like just
Right.
a regular mundane thing. I wasn't, and I didn't pay too much attention to that, pay too much thought. But then as the time progressed, I had I had a very, very difficult injury on my back. So my conscious self remembers that as the biggest breakthrough that I can
Mm,
think of. I am sure I
mm,
can go back and dig for some bits and pieces, but this was the most radical one, because if this didn't happen, I am not sure what kind of life would I have, to be honest, because everything changed since then. Because I just, after this event, I just took things in my hands, and I shook things up, and I said, okay, what is this? What is this about? What is the next chapter? What is this? I mean, what are you doing? What are you going to do? What is the next step? So I have to say that not only with me, but with wide audience, with wide public, people globally, because I always hear people talk about changes, and actually changes don't happen. You see them talk about changes and nobody does nothing, because for one simple reason, change or changes, they come radically. They come radical. If they don't happen radically, they take different course and different turns, and they become something else. So to go back to my story, yeah, I had a very, very bad injury on my back. I had a nerve clenched, so I lost my ability to walk. Every move was pain, immense pain, and and back then I was also procrastinating this pain because I didn't know how else to heal. I wasn't sure what was wrong with me at the first place, and then I discovered that I had a broken disc, which is in terms of this condition was a cause for all the pain. So I needed I needed to be operated, and so I did. I went one day because I mean the pain was unbearable. It was beyond pain, and I've never felt anything like that before. I never felt so much pain in my entire life. This was like over 10 years ago. And so and once I did that, you see, right before the night before the surgery, before the operation, I wasn't even sure that I'm gonna wake up, because I mean, all kinds of things and thoughts was running through my head like a stabbing knives, and I have all kinds of thoughts, but because I was thinking, okay, I mean, am I gonna wake up from this? Am I gonna be in a wheelchair? Am I gonna be alive? What my life will be after this? All these kind of thoughts, because my identity was shaken. I wasn't sure in anything. But the funny thing about this story is that I was laying on a bed, getting ready to be prepared to have the surgery, and then I started singing. True story. I started singing because, well, the nurse who was standing right next to me, she said, "What is that? A mechanism of defense? Why singing?" And I said, I don't know. I mean, if I have to go. If I don't wake up tomorrow, if I have to go, I want to go with a smile. I don't care. I want to go with a smile. I want to keep that happy state on mind. Because I mean, who wants to die sad? Right. I mean, that was my way of thinking. And so yeah, and so I kept singing, and then I don't remember anything. I woke up next morning. I remember this moment because this moment was the first moment, painless moment after a long time. You remember that moment, trust me.
Yeah.
And I was just, wow, man. I mean, painless. What? I literally felt I was walking on the clouds. I was walking because I had a very, very big, very good surgeon. And so, and this situation let me think. Okay, what else is possible? What else is possible? Because I don't want to get to hold this situation and this position for granted. Come on, let's see what we can do. How can we repay this? Because I felt in debt. I was thinking, okay, how can I repay this? I don't want to have this just for granted. I want to pay back. Because I guess this standard point came from gratitude, from gratification. And so yeah, and well, step by step I realized that that no matter what happens, and I realized this later in life at a few points as well. No matter what happens, we are no one. No matter what happens, we are no one if not born for the greater things. Mm-hmm. Not sure if that makes sense. So. Yeah. Whatever hurts you, whatever, I don't care what happens to you, you have to develop that mindset that you are simply greater than anything, any pain, any injury, any suffering, anything at all. You're greater than. Once you start thinking like that, your life completely changes. So, but of course, back then I still had nothing. I couldn't go back to the old so-called old story, uh, partially because I didn't want to, and
Mhm.
and also because I didn't care to. Uh, because I was miserable in that old story. Old story was done. I had to come up with something else. And then I was thinking, okay, I mean, if I take this path, I always knew one thing. I always knew that my path was a spiritual path because I'm a very spiritual person. And so, and I knew one thing, that if I follow this path, I would be taken care of by, you can say by God, by higher force, by energy, whatever you believe in. So I started following that, basically I improved that in every which way, and then actually um, um, my friends, some people that were close to me, they pointed out based on a few situations I coached, because let me tell you, this new story began way before that actually happened. And so yeah, they told me, this is your new story. This is something you should pursue. So I guess I spent some time alone with myself, because things hit you differently when you are totally by yourself.
Mhm.
Just if you try, imagine yourself being with other people. That's fantastic, but amazing thing happens when you are completely alone, in a half dark room with your thoughts, having no one around, just your thoughts. You silence. After a while, you go deep, you start digging, and it's amazing what you can find. You can actually find, you quite literally can find your purpose. But then it's a question, what do you do with it? Do you do
Mhm.
nothing, or do you get to work and you do everything you possibly can? So yes, this surgery, as far as I can consciously say, it was I guess the most radical thing I care to remember. I am sure, like I
Yeah.
said, I'm sure that I can possibly find other fragments, bits and pieces. But if I have to pinpoint something like specific, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. And
Yeah.
from then, I am still on a path. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
I wouldn't be so arrogant to say, okay, this is it. I mean, there's nothing for us to learn. This is like this. Just follow this path, and you'll be fine. That comes for comfort.
Mhm.
So the question is whether that comfort is our friend. It's not an enemy, but it's just it's tricky, because you can relax in that comfort. You can find your comfortable position, but after half an hour, after 1 hour, after 5 hours, after one day, a week, you start feeling that, like, okay, come on, is this all there is? I mean, is there something else? Because that sense of purpose comes to play. and
Mhm.
uh, and if you are able and willing, and if you give yourself a chance, you can do and understand great things,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
I love it. I love it, Mark. And I want to go back to sort of some of the things you were saying, because
Right.
I really believe that it's those painful moments that changes us enough where
Oh
we
yeah.
decide to change the world. When I was going through, before I even started this podcast and everything that over the last couple of years that I've have been working, have been kind of dealing with, when I was going through my go through, God gave me this quote, and it has definitely worked out in my life. And the
Mm,
quote is, "Pain births purpose, purpose births progress, and progress is the evidence that God is at work."
I love
And
that.
so, and he gave me that in the midst of, why, before I had even built anything, when I was still
Oh yeah.
hurting myself. But
Oh
as
yeah.
I began to go through my pain and say, okay, how am I now going to use this to help others? that's when all these other opportunities and things start coming. People start asking me to be on their podcast and having these different discussions. And then I was able to talk to a guy who told me, I think you should have your own podcast. And I was like, oh, okay. Let me think about that. And then, started my own podcast to lead us here with 200 and something episodes now. So I think, like you said, you there's this moment of pain, sometimes your own pain, and sometimes not necessarily even your pain. I like to point that out too as well, because if you think about like late at night when they're playing the commercials, that's like, the feed the hungry and all of that, you may not be hungry. You may have a fridge full of food, but you feel the pain of others that moves you and say, you know what, I want to do something about this. And so, it usually starts with some type of pain, and where you find your purpose comes from that, whether it's your pain individually or whether it's the pain of something else or someone else that happens, but it moves you deeply enough that you want to do something about it. And so that's where that comes in. So I definitely agree with that. And one of the things I want to talk about, you mentioned a little bit earlier, is that identity, right? And losing your identity, and us losing our identity. And I think that's big, especially amongst men, when the changes of life come, especially even like you, when it comes to occupation, because a lot of times us as men, we identify with our occupation. So when our occupation changes, it kind of throws us off a little bit, and we're like, all right, who am I? Who am I in this new season? And so when we're talking about, in this time period that we have, especially with social media and all this stuff, what are some of the signs or some of the things that you may have noticed that's like, man, we really are kind of losing ourselves with everything that's going on? And then how do we get back to that, to getting back to the core of who we are as individuals, to be able to, number one, find purpose in our lives, but then use that life to, again, make change in the world?
For sure. Another amazing question. I have to say the big chunk of what I do and my purpose and what I deliver is related to identity big time. Because I have been watching and monitoring this for over years and years and years, because I'm curious. I mean, obviously, I'm being an author, being a writer, novelist. I come from that position. I'm curious about people. I love them. And I love different people, different personalities, different characters, and the reason why that is because I can learn immensely from that, and it's beautiful when somebody can trust you in that way, And so, but to go back a little bit, now more than ever, like you said, identity is shaken as the entire world shakes. Because now more than ever, I feel that we have all these provocations coming from outside the world. Keep in mind, identity is built inside. That's why I said earlier, it's a spiritual path more than anything else. So that means is that first, before you do anything else, first you make sure identity is built inside. This is a part of my practice, what I do with build and rebuild yourself. So for example, let's say you are someone and then you lose that, and then you have to rediscover yourself. In other words, to rebuild yourself. So how do you do that? Because imagine identity as like a very, very hardcore spine that goes through your body, as we all have spines, right? So identity is like that pole, and you build and you put everything on it. You just build like you're a carver, you're an artist, you are creator of your own identity. And you have to be careful what things influence that identity. Like I said, now more than ever, we are provoked on everyday basis. If you are surrounded with that constantly, like we are, well, it can very easily become a joke, and you can lose that, and you can get caught up in that feeling, chasing your own tail without realizing. So aspirations also, aspirations come to play, because you, much like you guard your mind, the same way you guard your identity. Because I mean, you will just ask yourself, anybody out there, ask yourselves, who are you without your identity? Who are you? If you exclude your identity from the picture, who are you? Do you really, can you say? And so I think this plays a great part, um, because our identity can literally save our life, can literally save our life. But sometimes, again, it gets shaken, and basically two great impacts can touch it. Like I said, inner world and outside the world. So obviously, outside the world, you can't quite control as much as you can control inner world. Inner
Mm-hmm.
world is your world. You make calls. It's your call how your inner world gets built up. So the more you pay attention to that, and the more you focus on that, because obviously there's a famous saying. I keep calling that on. Where the focus goes, energy flows. I love
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and it's absolutely true. But you imagine focus like your car. You're driving a car and you make a call where the car gonna go. If you could crash the car, you're gonna drive a car fast or slow, or you're gonna just enjoy your car, enjoy running a car, look around, enjoy the scenery. Now that's a beautiful thing. So you have control. That's the bottom of
Mm-hmm.
line. You have control, and then essentially, um, when you overcome that, obstacle, you have another one and another one, and the thing is, our identity would not be our identity if there would be no obstacles. O- Obstacles coming our way, they make our identity firmer. That's how we become
Mm-hmm.
stronger. And I want to make a small digression. I always hear people say, "Oh, reality this, oh, reality that, oh, this time is like this, oh, this time is like that," and I'm listening and I'm smiling and I just say one thing: do you have any other excuse?
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, this is outside world. Take care of inside, and you can go outside to rock, because the rock is more than just a rock when it comes out, and so because it comes bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's how it goes, and that's how you grow. So once you grow enough, you share that ability, you share that what you've learned, you share that, because the spiritual path is the path of everyone's path, not only yours. Everybody everybody. So the identity is greatly about this. Who do you want to call? Who do you want to bring out? Do you want to bring out because keep in mind, you have the back when I was talking about characters, you have
Mm-hmm.
many inside. You
Right.
can be the father, the brother, the son, the husband, the entrepreneur, the businessman, the athlete. Many characters are inside of you. So every time you focus on each of them, you can bring them and see how they can grow, see their role. What do they do? So it's basically endless possibility, and I'm now more than ever. I think that's why this moment now is very significant. Because now we have come a long way as people, as a race, to actually understand our current position, our current moment of now, reflecting on where we head in the future. So this is a kind of a challenging thought, because dare if you dare to step off the line, to make a step
Mm-hmm.
forward, to be actually brave like that, and to imagine um, the lineage between something and who you are now, and your vision and perspective. It doesn't have to be long, like, let's say 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. Whatever you can, however far you can throw that rock. You know, so I think now situation lives between moment now, between moment in the future, because now more than ever, there's very needed conversation about that, and the reason why that is because more than ever our life should be, and it is, about goals. So so that's where I step in with my work, and and like I said, it's really not about me. I what I do is I exclude myself, I put myself away, allow these new energies to come, these new energies, characteristics, personalities, and all the energy that comes from that, because actually I learned from that, and by helping them to be fulfilled, I get fulfillment as well.
Right.
It's an immediate interaction. Yeah,
Yeah, and I love how you even pointed out that when we're talking about identity, it's really two forces
for
that
sure.
influence it. It's our inner person, and then it's the outside world. And we just
Yeah,
got to make sure that we're paying more attention to our inside voice, our inner voice, should I say, than we are to the voices that's outside of us. And
right.
there's an analogy that if we are a ship, we see ourselves as a ship, and we're surrounded by water. It's not the water on the outside that makes
Right.
us sink, but it's when that water gets on the inside, right? When that water, that's all the noise and all the things that surround us, we still sail through life with no
For
problems. But
sure.
when we start allowing that
For sure.
noise, which is the water of social media, of
Yeah.
outside thoughts and outside things that have their people and places that have their idea of who you should be or what you should be doing. When we allow all those things that's on the outside of us to get on the inside of us, that's when we begin to sink and lose ourselves,
There
in
you
the
go.
sea of life, for a better acronym, And so I love how you pointed that out. Like, those are the main two
For sure.
influences on our lives and on our
For sure.
identity. It's like, who are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen
Yeah.
to yourself, or are you going to listen to all these voices that's on the outside? And if you do
Right.
listen to voices that's on the outside of you, then you choose those voices, because I even say for myself, over the last couple of years,
Mm.
getting into podcasting and getting into personal development, and finding mentors that's really helping me grow. Those are outside voices that I choose to listen to, that I've
Absolutely.
researched out to listen to, because they are going to be beneficial to me,
For
but
sure.
not just listening to whatever the whole world has to say in social media about
Yeah.
everything that's going on with your life, for people that don't even know you. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't even know me. How can you say what's the best for me in my relationship, and whatever
Yeah.
those things are?
Absolutely.
And so,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I love it.
One point I would just add, as in identity, and
Mhm.
how we build it. It's very, very funny. Funny. Just very quick. I when I was younger, this is before everything. Before I was I was a kid, and I was. I mean, I got to be honest. I was looking at all the people around me whose lives I didn't like. Quite
Mm,
honestly,
I
because for
like
one
that.
simple reason, these people, I just didn't feel, I did not feel they gave their best to set an example. If you are a 10-year-old boy or even a teenager, this matters. This matters big time. So I've spent years watching that and actually realizing how I would never be, how I'll never be like. So how people say, "Oh, he's a product of his environment."
Yeah. Yep.
Well, sure, if you allow it to happen, if you
Mhm.
say, "Okay, that will be my identity for sure," but it doesn't have to be that way. I pushed back. I said, "No, it's not going to be my life." No, because I answer the call. It's my call. I have a different idea. I don't want my life to be like this, because I don't want to live some copy paste story of somebody who I don't even like to be and don't want to be. So
Right.
I have to realize my talent very quickly, and to see how actually I'm going to deliver this. Because if I do, this example will find followers. Somebody will follow, somebody who see it fits, or somebody who likes it, whatever, wherever they are. It doesn't have to be a local party. So
Mhm.
yeah, I remember this as well. Watching all these people, with all due respect,
Yeah.
and I just didn't see it fit. And that's why one day I said, you know what, I gotta get out of here. I just took my bags and started traveling, and because I always felt my existence, my identity deserves greater picture, greater scale, greater altitude, greater everything. Um, one thing is about this is that this vision, if you dare to call it that way, has to be so strong, stronger than you, because if you don't feel it that way, you have to find other way to push it. If not, never gonna happen. You have to really, really wish this. You have to want this more than life itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, and if you live in an environment you don't like, change things. Don't just complain without doing anything. Massive action always plays the call. Okay, so if I understand that sometimes it's not so easy. I get that, but guess what? You have two choices: to accept that and to say it's okay. This is my identity. This is who I am now, which is not true. You just simply need to want that. You need to know exactly why you want it. Exactly, like, why do I want this? Why? If you have this, that makes you stronger than anything really.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And also I point out, like you said, if you accept that this is your reality, then that's what it's going to be.
For
Because you
sure.
may not be able to physically remove yourself at the moment. But the powerful thing about our mind can take us anywhere we want to go. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Even into the future that we see that we're not living in right now. So you
Right,
may
right,
not
right.
physically be able to go there, but you can go there in your mind every day. Like, what does this
Okay.
life look like that I want to have for myself? Where do I want to live? What does it look like? What do I want to do? And you build this life in your mind, and then you come back to the reality and figure out, okay, now what do I physically have to do in order to
Yes.
get to that space in my
I love
mind?
that. I
And
love that.
that your mind can take you anywhere you want to go. So yeah, you may not physically be able to go right now. Today, I can't go to New York, but I can close my mind, close my eyes, and see myself in Times Square
Absolutely.
right now. You know what I mean? And so then when I come back, I can say, okay, now what do I need to do to get there? And anytime I need motivation, anytime I
Yes.
feel discouraged, I can close my eyes and go right back there. And so I think that's important for us to know. Yeah, your situation may be your situation, but when you think different, you can create different, and you can create the life that you want to live. I love it. I love it. Mark, before we get out of here, I want to talk about your books because you have several books,
Yeah.
and you have a new project that you're working on now. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Well, thank you for opportunity. Yes, of course.
Mhm.
Um. Well, I'll get to the point because I'm very get to the point guy kind of guy. So yeah, this is a obviously a monster, and I am going to briefly introduce this as the third uh, the third novella in a series.
Mhm.
Now this is very, very hot because it's everywhere. So what I do is I pretty much in coaching and in teaching I deal with the human stories. It's a human story, and also it's about a story of identity, of potential, and a talent. And basically, um, um, it goes to show that what we actually do. How do we come back from the previous mentioned shaken identity when we are very good at something, as this person is and was, like the picture shows, the trumpet player. In a story, he's a trumpet player, and well, the story catches him as a very, very young boy, and then he
Mhm.
realizes his talent. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but basically this story is about finding that niche that drives it, that passion that drives you to be absolute best at what you do. And then for some reason you lose that as the only thing you knew how to do. So how do you basically come back from that? You have to reinvent your life. You have to reinvent your talent when things are shaken, and when you're down, you couldn't be down more. You know.
Mhm.
So I would also say that the other two, considering this is the third in the series, the other two are also about that. They're not the same stories, but they are also about identity and about how we build and rebuild our life based on what happens, as in challenges and things we have to overcome. So the message is clear. as in something that we realize about ourselves on daily basis. It helps us to build our identity and life the way we want, not the way we have to, but the way we want. Crucial difference. And so you wake up in the morning and you ask yourself, okay, what do I want today? How do I get the best of me? Instead of, oh, another day. Oh, no, my God. Those are two different atmospheres. You can absolutely feel the difference in narration and how your identity shifts between these two stories. You decide what your story is. This story, pretty much like the other two, help you to understand it better. And actually, so one of the greatest things about this is that I hear all the time about people realizing it in different ways. I love that. I just love that. I talk with many people about them, and everybody gives me different opinions. Everybody says different story, and I think that's fantastic. This is actually why this is written, because again, the stories I write, based on what I mentioned, they're not really. I mean, based on what I can tell you, they're not really for you to read them and sure, oh yes, I agree, yeah, sure. Nod your head like okay, you agree with everything and everything is fine. Basically, this asks provocative questions. Provocative. That's the point. The point is not for you to agree with anything or anyone. The point is that you find yourself a niche, this niche that actually asks a question. Okay, I mean, what is missing here? How can this be better? How can we go back to that basic that we actually love doing something, and what makes us this successful? What makes us to be best in something? So much rather than just bluntly agree, oh yeah, I agree, just like a robot. No, the point is asking these questions that make difference. If you are able to do that, I can promise you your lifestyle will be different.
Love it. I love it. I love it. Mark, I definitely appreciate you being on, man. Thank
Likewise,
you
man.
so much for coming on. I want you to leave us with a word of advice, motivation, however you feel. And also with your social media handles and things of that nature where we can find you and follow you. And I'll give you a couple seconds to think about that. We'll have a word from our sponsor, and then I'll come right back with some information, and then we'll hear from Mark. All right. Hey guys, this podcast is sponsored by the Deal to Heal School for Living. That is our online community on the school platform. You guys can go there and check it out absolutely free for the first 7 days. And while you're there, take advantage of all the free resources that we have. And if you decide to stay, it's only $27 a month. And each month you have access to a new workshop. So go check that out at the Deal to Heal School for Living on the school platform. Just scan the QR code in the corner and you guys will be able to get there. All right. We'll see you soon. All right. All right. Make sure you guys go and check out our community on the school platform. Again, it's the Deal to Heal School for Living. Make sure you guys check that out. I also want to invite you guys to take part in our workshop that we're having. We have this workshop bi-monthly on Eventbrite, and it's a workshop, virtual workshop, embracing your grief journey, and kind of help you walk through the journey of grief, whatever you may be grieving or whoever you may be grieving. It's a process to help you figure that out on that journey. And so you guys can copy the QR code that's there. Let me also get this other QR code up in our upper corner of the podcast. You'll see that. So whether you can scan the QR code on the flyer or scan it in the corner, it'll take you to our Eventbrite page where you'll be able to see this workshop and all the other workshops that we have available, and schedule what day or when you want to come out to take a part of that. So make sure you guys are checking that out. Also, make sure you guys are checking us out on our website, the dealhealfulfill.org. Again, dealhealfulfill.org. That is our company website, should I say, our overall website to just have different information on everything that we have going on. So make sure you guys are checking us out there. Also, I used to have a website for ebooks by ejames.com. That website is actually down. We don't have that website no more, but we wanted to make sure that you guys could still get our the information for our ebooks, that we made to make sure that you guys still could get the ebooks. So when you go to Deal to Heal School for Living on our school platform, the first 7 days is absolutely free. When you go there, you can actually go to our resources tab and go there and download all of our ebooks absolutely free when you sign up for that first week to check out the community, should I say. So you can scan their QR code in the corner. Again, that's the Deal to Heal School for Living on the school platform. And you can go there and check out our resources and workshops that we have. And each month, if you decide to stay, is only $27 a month. And each month you have access to a new workshop. We have workshop on grief, workshops on forgiveness, which we'll talk about in a second. We also have on workshops on purpose. Just all the things that's meaningful to you to make a change in your life. You want to go there to the Deal to Heal School for Living on the school platform. Also, Deal to Heal Tees, which is our inspiration, the t-shirt line. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That is our tagline. Make sure you guys go to healtees.com in order to check out our inspirational t-shirts, including our podcast merch, which is our t-shirts with our podcast logos on it. There's one for the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, as well as one for the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast as well. And last but not least, one of the things I've been blessed to do over the last couple of years is be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops bi-monthly discussing the topic of forgiveness, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, forgiveness of the world, even forgiveness and wellness by acknowledging how unforgiveness affects us in our bodies physically. So you guys can check us out and take part of those workshops by going to forgivenessmission.com or going to Eventbrite and looking up Forgiveness Workshop sponsored by the Forgiveness Mission. And these workshops are absolutely free, but the information is priceless. So whenever you're watching this or listening to this, either there's one just ended or there's one coming up. So make sure you guys go to forgivenessmission.com in order to sign up for our next forgiveness workshop free of charge. Mark, once again, I want to say thank you so very much for being on. I want you to have the last word. Leave us with a word of advice, motivation, however you feel, and also with your social media handles where we can find you and follow you as well. And I want you to have that last word, so the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Well, I appreciate you. Actually, it's very simple. So before you set off to do anything, you have to be sure to have ground points. That's how I call them, ground points. Every story becomes from few matters. First, what do you want? What is it really you want? Like, what do you want? Second is why, the reason, why you want it. What do you want and why you want it? And then the third one is how do you think and what are you willing to do to get it? If you master these 3 points, if you master them, that means if you are ready to answer this question bluntly and honestly at any point, you are going to have the most extraordinary life. And also, once you realize that, relax, rather enjoy the ride. Don't be concerned yourself about too many outer conditions and outer extremes. Much rather focus on your inner world. Because this inner world would set you with the right mindset and the right state not to ask unnecessary questions. So relax, but one thing you keep in mind, be brave. Do not be scared, be brave. Be brave. And so if you have these couple of components, I promise you, there is no goal you can't achieve. There's no goal you can't achieve. So I can stand here testifying to this because actually I am I have been the goal getter for my entire life, and now more than ever, I serve as a provider, and my purpose is to actually help people to get breakthroughs in this matter. Having said this, it's a beautiful thing to be a part of, and achieving goals always gives results. And these results are actually touchstones for greater life, for greater identity, for greater progress, to be more, to do more, to change more, to become more, and so on. Having said that, if you care to find me, if you care to reach me, you can do that by visiting markrelic.com. That's markrelic.com. You can check out my work. You can check out my blogs. You can check out my additional works, as in my written novels, as in mentioned before, the Monster, and you can check out the others as well. Also, you can check out what else I do, and if you care to check out in person, I am reachable at other public platforms, social platforms, as in Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, actually, as well. But the best of all of them is just to go directly to my webpage, because that's useful, as in you can have direct connection with the content that actually makes difference, insights into everything I do. You can have a greater understanding of daily challenge or challenges you are facing, because remember, life is challenging. Every single day, life is challenging. But that's a good thing if you learn how to roll with it on a good thing. If you go along with that and you actually develop this great, fantastic skill of utilizing that, and remember, you always have a support, because that's why we're here. We support, and we support without expecting anything in return. Your progress and the results you do and results you make is our satisfaction and our fulfillment. There you go.
There you go. We can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Until next time, you guys be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.